A very good afternoon to everyone. I'm just here in the porch, or should I say Jack's apartment, because this is where Jack has his bed and his food. And he sleeps, although during the day, at night he sleeps in my bedroom on the floor by the bed. It is just gone 4:30, as far as I can see there. And I'm going to take you for a walk down the drive and along the road front because I've been busy tidying up, cutting back, mowing, you know, all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to show you something first. I got this yesterday. It is the most extraordinary thing. I want to say an enormous thank you to Cornelia and Cat Felix. I'm sure you've often seen her comments here on YouTube. This is, as far as I can tell, it's a German invention. You know, German technology is just so brilliant. I'm always amazed at how they think things up and, you know, get them into being like this. This is actually, let me just get the right name for it. It's in German, so I can't tell. Okay, I'll read out Cornelia's letter. This package is an aid to laundry. It is new and very resilient. It is not a museum piece. The rammer is only pressed into the washing solution and laundry. You only need your strength and no electricity. You no longer have to rub with delicate laundry. This is an advantage. I hope the pounder or rammer is helpful for you. So this is from Connie, Braun and Felix in Germany. And I'll just show you basically how it works. So you imagine you have your big basin full of laundry, or, you know, maybe 3 or 4 pieces of laundry, a nice soapy liquid, nice warm water. And you take this, I'm going to put it up on the table so you can see, and you press it down. And it has this spring action, okay? And as you press it down, the water goes into here, goes in through all these little holes, and, you know, it kind of pumps the water through the clothes. Isn't it fabulous? So, and it just needs a very light press. It's not at all, you know, for the heavy-handed. Jack's fascinated by it. Well, Connie, when I opened the package, because it came in a big long box, which held this bit, the wooden handle, and then this here was pressed like that into a box within this big long box. And when I opened the box, it sprung out like that. And I started laughing and I couldn't stop. It was so funny. So thank you so much. I'm going to give it a try, and I'm sure it's just going to work fabulously well. But anyway, without further ado now, we'll go down the drive. Look, he's all excited. Come on, then, out you go. Oh gosh, amazing, isn't it, what can be invented? Just amazing. You know, I just love it when clever people take a simple idea that's been used for centuries, you know, which is the kind of, I think it was called a washing dolly or something like that. And they've completely brought it into the 21st century. I mean, how amazing is that? That's the kind of invention and creativity and technology which is absolutely brilliant and amazing. So, wow. Okay. Now, without further ado, so I've been trimming back. Doing a fair bit of trimming. I'm always reluctant to trim, you know, because I really like, I mean, But for the fact I'm a very practical woman, I wouldn't mind at all if there was only enough space along this little laneway for one person to walk, you know, in single file. But we live in the 21st century. I have a little car, albeit a little car, and I'm keeping that little car on the road. It's very quiet. I was listening to BBC Radio 4 this morning on my phone whilst I was in bed, and I heard, now was it a wildlife programme or something? I'm not too sure. I can't be specific. But I heard that the birds don't sing at this time of year. All that wonderful choral bird song is finished for the time being. Apparently all that energy was put into the mating season. It does remind me of, you know, in the early days of a love affair when you're being wooed. Oh, you know, the lovers will jump through hurdles for each other, won't they? And then, when they settle down together, they move in together or they get married, everything sort of begins to become so matter of fact and so ordinary. And I suppose this is the same now for the birds. So at this time of the year, coming up to midsummer, and then I think coming up to midsummer kind of reaches that crescendo, and then it just falls away. So from now, I think, until the early autumn, the bird song will be limited to very early in the morning and late in the evening. So it's a very quiet time. It's very quiet. You can hear every little sound. Look at all the lovely flowers on the fuchsia there. This has been such an amazing year for growth, as I keep saying, but it really has. Now I've cut back a lot of the dogwood here. So all this was hanging out on the path, and I just mowed back some of the oxeye daisies. I want to leave the rest of them to seed. Now they're almost at the seeding stage, and I'll show you. So we take this one, for example, just pull the head off, and as I pulled it, can you see all the seeds have come away? All those are seeds. There you go. Lots and lots of water flowing through the pond. And I've been able to have a really good look at all the little trees that I've planted. These little beech trees, that's one, that's another, and then there's a birch there. Now, of course, at this point, I could actually take the leader stem off these, which will make them more into hedging than trees. But I'm going to leave it for the time being. I think maybe every second or third one can be a tree. So I still have a rake of things to just collect up here at the end of the driveway. And you can see what I do with all the cuttings. I sort of ram them in behind trees and shrubs and plants and let them break down and feed the soil So it's a bigger version of the chop and drop. This is Hebe's, by the way. So I cut back some of this beech tree to let the dogwoods and the Hebe's get some more light and get a little bit more show. And then down here, I've been tidying up these Shasta daisies. A lot of them were just falling out onto the driveway. Got a pile of stuff to take in there. So again, I cut back along here so that I could see the road both ways. Cut back some of the fuchsia there so I can just see cars coming when I'm trying to edge out. Come on, Jack, we'll walk up here. I did my little bit of mowing along here. And here. Doesn't take a lot. Did a little bit of pruning just to give these trees more light and more room. And right up here then to the end, then you can see where I've put grass cuttings. Everything goes back onto the soil. So I don't put them all in the same place. So on this occasion I put some along here, and all that biodegrades then and produces food and nitrogen for the plants that I want to encourage. And then right down here to my neighbour's house. Come on, Jack. See, there's some honeysuckle here in the hedgerow, so it's kind of half wild and half tamed, or half wild and half cultivated, I expect. This little birch tree is growing beautifully. Although the willow up there is kind of making it work that bit harder to get to the light. But that's okay. These will be lovely colours now in October. And this is the... Jack, come here, over here. Jack, over here. Come here, in case the car comes. This is the Hypericum that I grew from seed. So I planted this in here, I think it was last autumn. I planted several, so that's one, that's come on well. Remember I was growing them on in the pots? I said once the roots come through on the bottom of the pot, I would plant them out. So that's another one. And then this is another little one. So when I say I don't buy plants, sometimes I do, but I find the healthiest plants are the ones that you grow from seeds or from cuttings. Like there's a cotoneaster in there growing from a cutting. And there's some of the Bistort Superba, because I divide plants up as well. Now I prune back the Snecchio, and you can see where I've thrown the prunings. You know, you don't want them on show, but at the same time you don't want to just get rid of them, because they're very valuable food for the soil. And this is what continually builds the soil up year after year. There's another little cotoneaster. At some point, you see, this will be covering the grass. At some point, there'll be very little need to mow anything along this roadway. It's like this Lacestria famosa. Again, this was a little plant that I just pulled out of the gravel, and of course that's growing beautifully. There's a little sycamore in behind it, and that's Escalonia, which hasn't done at all well in my gardens, but I put it out here on the roadside and it's thriving. So the conditions are just perfect here for it. Now here's a cotoneaster which is really giving it large, as they used to say in London in Cockney slang, giving it large. It's really kind of putting on a lot of growth, and it's getting that lovely herringbone kind of wavy sort of dome shape on it. So you can see that's going to be covering the grass as well. Little bit of meadowsweet there, which smells beautiful. You can just hear the water now as we come past the gate. Come on, Jack. So these Shasta daisies now are just a nice bright welcome. Now I've got lots more to do, but I've done the tidying up part of it, and I'll get in then during the week and do some more heavy work. So there's a few branches need to come out, and a bit more heavy duty sawing and lopping. I love the sound of the water here. Amazing to think that for, perhaps hundreds of years there was no water flowing through this land. Well, there was water in the land, but it wasn't allowed to flow through it. And now it seems as though this little stream, the pond, has been here forever. Lovely, isn't it? And you see how the force of the little natural waterfall has scooped out a pool. It's exposed a big rock down there, which is quite smooth actually. It's interesting. So there we go. Some beautiful smells down here. Look at all this fuchsia. And this water is so clean. Of course it's spring water. I haven't had the chance this year to get into the pond up there and clear all the pond weed. A job for September, perhaps. I've already got most of August plotted out. Look at it. Can't even see any water there now. It's all covered by weed. So blessings to you all. It's a lovely evening here at Bealtaine Cottage, and I hope it's a lovely day, a lovely evening, a lovely night wherever you are. Blessings.